Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on the ChaddyTheChump channel. We are back. We've had a little 1 week break and there hasn't been much boxing going on, but this week is completely different because we have, I could name you 6 events that are on this week. But today we are going to be talking about the big one, right? The one that every man and his dog is going to be watching, right? And that is Jake Paul versus Anthony Joshua. It's the fight that, a bit me thought, surely this can't happen, right? Surely this won't happen. There's got to be something. Surely there'll be a pullout. But we're on fight week and there has been nothing. Face-offs have happened. Money has been put into this event. It's going to take place and it's going to be a bit crazy, I think it's pretty safe to say nothing like this has happened in boxing before. And, you get things close to it, like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, but even that, right, Mike Tyson was an old man. Jake Paul, obviously, younger and fresher, but obviously not, as good as like a boxer as Mike Tyson was in his prime. But, it was like, Jake Paul's not going to knock him out. This is probably going to be a boring fight that'll go 8 rounds because Jake's probably not going to want to hurt him, right? And it's different with this. It's different because AJ is still a pro boxer, right? I know he's not been in the rankings because he's not fought for over a year. But if he was in the rankings, he'd be a top 10 heavyweight. And most governing bodies, he'd be a top 10 heavyweight, right? And Jake Paul's young, but it's not going to matter because he has no skills over Anthony Joshua. He literally has nothing over Anthony Joshua. And I kind of find it sort of hard to sort of think what's going to happen because, right, don't get me wrong, AJ should blast him out the water in 1 round, but would Jake Paul really go into this fight knowing he's going to get knocked out in round 1? Well, if this goes the way it should go, that will happen, and I don't know if there's going to be anything that, differs from that result in an AJ knockout in, at least 3 rounds, because AJ, however much you think he's shot in the pro game, against someone like Jake Paul, he's definitely not shot, right? Jake Paul doesn't have the power to knock out AJ, for sure, and AJ certainly has the power to knock out him, and that's pretty simple. Jake Paul is going to take one on the chin. And, as much as I think, surely not. Surely Jake Paul isn't going to get, flatlined in front of millions after all this talk for all these years. But, it will happen. It's got to happen. Maybe he won't get flatlined like Ngannou because he's probably going to go into it thinking, I don't want to get, sort of put down like that, because in some ways it's a bit, it's not embarrassing because, right, anyone, will get knocked out by AJ in a round, and most people would. And to be fair, he'll probably get respect for it, right? But I still don't think he's going to want to take that. So it might be a more, sort of a more knockout where he's not going to really get chin that 1 punch right down to the floor, but more just stopped, hit with a few shots and then goes down. That's probably how I see it going, to be honest. The referee is probably, because referees kind of know who they are refereeing most of the time, especially in a fight as big as this. And if Jake Paul takes one and goes down, the referee is not going to be inclined to let Jake Paul continue. Whereas if it was someone like Tyson Fury and he got put down by AJ, the ref would think, alright, Tyson's known for sort of getting up for these shots. Whereas the referee for this fight is probably just going to think, this guy's a YouTuber and hasn't fought anyone near the level that Anthony Joshua is at. and I'm not going to let this guy continue, and I'm not going to let him keep fighting even if he does get put down. So that's how I see it going. 1 or 2 rounds maybe, but look, if you're going to watch this fight thinking that this will be a even slightly long fight, you are completely wrong. Do not expect that, and I don't want to see any complaints the morning after saying it was too short, and I also don't want to see any complaints the morning after about Jake Paul getting severely hurt, because I think that would be bad for boxing, right? Putting this fight on, sanctioning it, and then if Jake Paul did get hurt to a very high level, it wouldn't be good for the sport and it wouldn't be a good look. But yes, this Friday on Netflix is kind of hard to know what to expect, right? It's kind of difficult, you know, because it's just strange. It's a strange fight, right? It's a big fight, but it's a very strange one. But of course I will be tuning in. The undercard is pretty decent. Some of Jake Paul's female boxers, and Anderson Silva versus Tyrone Woodley as well in the boxing match is also on the undercard, and there is also some big boxing this weekend. Again, there's like 5 other shows I could tell you, and we're going to do a video on that, so make sure you check that out as well when it comes out. But thank you guys for watching, and also my prediction is Jake Paul to win. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.